What's going on, guys? What's going on? Welcome back to CKQ Podcast. I am your host, Clement, and I'd like to introduce you to the panel. Today we've got Melissa. Wait to your fans. We got Madison. We got E-Black. And we got the man that motivated me to start my channel, JR Lapeef himself.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Yeah. How you guys all doing?
Doing fine. About yourself?
Doing
Fantastic.
good.
Man, look
Good.
at that
How
here.
are you?
It's always magnificent. Awesome. You guys saw the questions. How'd you feel about all of them?
I think you're trying to set me up, man, because I'm about to be ranting tonight. I'm about to be ranting tonight.
No, never that. Never that.
I thought they were hilarious.
Well, we're about to see how hilarious they get. Okay. So we are going to start with the first topic of the night. Weaves, dreadlocks, bonnets, and durags. Do these hold us back from professionalism? Again, weaves, dreadlocks, bonnets, and durags. Do these hold us back from professionalism? Melissa, let's start with you.
Okay. And it's like I hate to play like the opposite side of like the coin, like the both like opposite sides of the coin, because it's like a part of me feels like, it's also part of, certain people's culture to dress that way. But then it's like I also know that it's like professionalism is very important, and also the way you carry yourself, the way you look, and it only takes one time to have like a first impression, only once. And I know for me, like I grew up with my grandmother who practically raised me. I know you can't probably tell, but like she was like this little short, like Ecuadorian lady that, to go to the corner store or just to like go out to the supermarket. Like ever since I was a little girl, my grandmother always made sure that me and my cousins, because she took care of all of us, like we all looked presentable and nice. Like not like a piece of hair was out of place, like nothing. So that's just how like I was raised to be. So even though like, yeah, I can wear leggings, like spruce it up and just, try to look as presentable as I can, because you never know who you can meet. You can meet, the love of your life, or you can meet somebody that can help you launch your career. So it's like you always have to put like your best foot forward. But then it's like I understand that especially now it's become like, well, not now, but like it's a cultural thing where people, that's how they express themselves, where it's like, oh, the whole.
But it sounds a little bit more like you're saying expressing yourself as opposed to it actually being, I guess, part of a uniform.
Oh, no, I'm not. Well, I don't think it's necessarily a part of a uniform. I just feel like it's has to do also like with people's individuality of what they want to wear or what they deem that it's acceptable for them. It's just sad that, we're in a society that, I'm sorry to say, and I'm not even trying to like play the race card, like, especially like for Hispanics and like Black people out there, like we have to present ourselves in a different way than other races. Like if we're going and then like a white person was to wear dreadlocks, it would be seen as, oh my God, like the new fashion statement, or they're wearing a durag or something else, like, oh, okay, like that's the new fashion trend, and everything will be acceptable. But I just feel like also like with our communities, we have to hold ourselves, or we feel like the pressure to hold ourselves to a higher standard, because that's how we were all raised to, carry ourselves. So it's just, it sucks to say that, but it's just the reality of the situation. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me, but that's just how I've always seen it to be.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna go around real quick, and then we're gonna circle back. Jr., what do you think?
I'm going to talk about weaves. Well, first of all, I want to talk about like society. I believe that society shapes how we view things and how we look at things in our life. So when it comes to weaves, I'm okay with the weave, but if it's a little bit too much, if it's blue, red, yellow, if it's hanging all over the place, then I don't think that that's professional. But I do understand the struggle when it comes to our black women and their hair and the air in the summertime when it's humid outside, how it reacts when they're trying to work out, when they're trying to be in shape. So I understand that the weave is a little bit more easier, but it has to be presentable. And I think that standard was set, by society. It's not set by us. I feel like we often, when it comes to professionalism, we have to get in line with how society shaped it to be. When it comes to dreads, I think that we have a lot of young individuals, some older individuals that have this, stereotype when it comes to dreads. I have seen guys that have dreads that looks neat, it looks presentable, it looks professional, they're dressed in a suit. But unfortunately, on the other hand, we have some young individuals that are doing all sorts of things, and they have dreads when it comes to the music, when it comes to crimes. And then, again, here we have society that and the media that puts a stereotype, like on these individuals. So when somebody has dreads and they walk into a job interview, they're frowned upon, and it's because how the media put that out there. Like durags, I'm not really. I mean, it's a trend. I think it's a time and place for everything when it comes to durags. I get it. I don't think the durag should be worn out the house. I have a 16-year-old son, and he wears his durag all the time. He has his hood on his head, and I'm like, man, pull that durag off. And a part of me I don't really understand like the young culture as to why they have to wear the durag every single place. Everywhere. Guys typically was wearing these durags. Even when I was in grammar school, they was doing it. But the minute they was about to step out into that place, they would pull that durag out, hit the brush, and they walk into the place. But now our generation are walking around with the durags. And if you haven't made a name for yourself, or you don't have any type of clout, if you're not popular, then it's just like you're not going to be accepted. So the durag needs to come off outside of the home. It shouldn't be worn as this fashion trend. And unfortunately, because I've also been programmed to think that do-rags is unacceptable out in the public, it's a possibility that we are playing into this whole road that they have us in. Like blacks don't have too much say so when it comes to what the standard is. We're trying to constantly create this like new standards and set trends, and I get that we do, but when it comes to corporate America, I don't really think that we've put our foot down to be able to change the narrative of what the standard is when it comes to being professional.
Okay, it's pretty interesting. I wasn't expecting that from you, but all right, I'll keep that in mind. Maddie, let's hear you.
All right, so hey, and I think that durags and bonnets, I think that can hold you back from professionalism. But weaves and dreadlocks, no. And that'll be my short answer, and we can circle back around and get deeper into it.
Okay.
I'm not a blanket statement person, but we'll get deeper into it.
Okay. E-Black.
Hold on, before we get to E-Black, I'm going to cut you off. I missed the bonnets thing. Do you need me to?
Yeah, no. Let's hear it.
So
I thought you might have went off on that one, but then you didn't say anything. I was like, all right, that's why you surprised me.
Yeah, like I'm just looking at it. My apologies on the whole bonnet thing, but it disturbs me when I see women walking around in a bonnet. I typically see it in the hood, different areas that I'm in. And matter of fact, I can't even say that because I think it's the individual. Wherever you place that individual at, she gonna bring the hood with her. So if it's in a grocery store, if it's in the airport, like they really don't care. I commend them on being courageous, because if they're gonna be hood,
Courageous.
ghetto, then they're gonna be hood like wherever. You ain't gonna be able to stop it. But I do think that the training starts within the household. So I think that, because we often talk about this all the time, how parents are not raising their kids correctly. And again, we have to live in this standard that's been set already, like before us. You know, we have to be living in this standard, like unless you're an entrepreneur, unless you're creating your own wealth, if you're trying to go to a job, if you're trying to make it in America, and you don't have any type of connections, then you got to just fall in line how the standard is. Right. So when I see like young ladies walking in there, I frown upon it. I don't like it, because I feel as though anytime a woman comes out of the house, she needs to be in order. She needs to be at her best. You know, not only to get a man, but I think that just women should carry themselves a certain way. And when the parents are allowing this, then the cycle just keeps going on, and they actually think it's okay. It's nothing you can tell them, because I've seen like the whole, like Monique, when she commented about it, and she got so much backlash about it. And then you even had some people that were supporting, even some famous people that were supporting the people wearing bonnets. And I'm like, I get it. It's a time.
What world are we in? Yeah.
Right. It's a time. It's a time and place for it. I just don't think that the public should be seeing this. I mean, even if you have to rush to the store, I can see if it's a fire and you got to run out the house and you got your bonnet on. But going to the grocery store, like this is not acceptable, and that's to me. But I also understand that they've been doing this for years. It's going to be hard to try to curb this behavior. So the new generation has to set a different standard. We have to, as parents and as like leaders, because everybody on the panel look grown except Madison. I don't know how old are you, Madison? About 18.
17 and a half, right?
17 and a half, yeah. So
no. She's 20, right. 23.
Okay, 23. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You're an adult. You're an adult. Don't let anybody tell you
Yeah. No. Yeah, but I mean, I think that the older generation, and even some people that's in the younger generation, such as Madison, if we start leading, and we and you don't have to correct everybody, but if we can get one or two people, then that's good, because that one or two people is going to get the next one or two people, and then we can just keep this cycle up. But it has to start with us. We have to change the narrative on what we putting out there, because bonnets, durags, it's unacceptable. The dreads, I can have an argument with that we can't base anybody off of that, but I think you do have to look presentable.
Okay. E Black, bring it home.
All right. Well, shoot, JR done brung it out. Shoot, even Melissa changed her hair in minutes.
I changed my hair, just had a headache from the bun.
Okay. But I'm going to piggyback off kind of what JR was kind of talking about, is that at a certain point, when do we as a generation take over? When do we say that we are in charge of our image? And I think this is kind of one of those things in which you have to say that I'm going to put the kid stuff down and I'm going to make myself presentable to the world. In terms of bonnets, I think it reminds me of back in the days when I used to have an S curl, and I used to have the little bag on my head, and you had to wear that bag, and then when you wake up, the bag would be all sideways, but I would never wear that outside the house because it was just not looking right. And I think women have the same thing. It's like there are certain things that are grooming attire, and there's certain like you're not going to wear the thing that go under your eyes. You're not going to wear like the pillowcase around your neck, unless you're in the airport. But I mean, there are certain things that are just obviously bedroom attire, like lounge dresses, things. So keep those things in the house. The problem is that now we're starting to see erosion of what is acceptable outside the house. And I think people are starting to say, well, what if I run to the store? And I say, so what? It doesn't matter if you have to run to the store. You have to make sure that your image is still good, because not only for your children, not only for everybody else's children, but just for yourself, because it helps bring you up. You know, if you're lazy and you're just rolling over, how is that helping you in a daily life of function? Just doing stuff like that. So, you know, like but do-rags, you know, I got checked really bad by an elder about do-rags, because I used to have, you know, do-rags with money on it, do-rags with my favorite football team.
Oh, you were that guy. You were
Yeah,
that guy.
man, look, it worked though. Look, man.
Yeah.
On, man.
Oh my God.
Come on,
Too much
man.
pride in the waves, bro. Too much pride in the waves.
Too much pride, man. This is my crown, man. This is my honeydew, man. But yeah, I used to do that, and then I got checked by an elder because he basically brought it to me like, this is bedroom attire.
He pretty much told you.
No, well,
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I agree. Like when I was working at a learning center before I moved back to New Jersey, and of course I fell in love with like the kids that I worked with, but then it's like also I know like especially like what Black men go through in our society, and there was like these young boys and they would come in with like the do-rag, and I told him like one time, I was like, you know, you're such a handsome boy. I was like, you really are, and you're super smart, and I know that you're trying. But I was like, it sucks to say, but like also the way that you present yourself or what you're wearing, people will overlook you. And it's like, that's how it is. So I told him, I was like, look, take it off. When you're home, you can wear whatever you want. But I was like, when you come here to the learning center, I want you to put your best foot forward, and I want people to see you for you, not because you have the do-rag on. People want to like just be like, oh well, whatever, and then not even pay attention to you. Because I was like, you deserve it. I'm like, you're working hard, you're trying to better yourself, and a lot of times people don't like see that if you're not presentable and you don't look good, and it sucks to say, but that's how society is, and
So
that's the reality.
I kind of want to kick down this door really quick. Sorry, Melissa. I want to kick down this door real quick. Dreads.
No, I'm done.
So when it comes to dreads, I know you guys said you could make.
Too.
Oh, I did, and you see my hair now?
Yeah,
because I decided.
Shamefully, I see.
Shamefully. Listen, I used to have some twists. It was twist, 2-strand twist, but I decided that if I want to be taken a little bit more seriously, I, as a guy, listen, in a company where white, Asian, Indian, all of them have their hair cut short, and me as a Black guy saying, oh, I'm going to wear my hair like this, but why aren't I taken seriously? You don't think that is something that we should probably start working on? For you guys, I think that dreads aren't really an issue. I'm curious.
Well, let me pick. I want to kind of say something about the dreadlocks. There is a judge right now that works in our county. She has beautiful locks.
I'm not talking for the women.
Okay.
I'm not talking about the women because they have a different set of standards when it comes to hair versus us men.
What about that man? I feel like dreads can be professional depending on how you present them. Just like weaves. I mean, some people have some mess up weaves where I'm like, oh my gosh, your natural hair would probably be better than that matted thing on your head. But I think like Stephon Speaks, is that his name? Doesn't he have dreads? Steven Speaks? Stephon?
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
But I also know like it depends. It depends on like what type of field you're in, because it's like if it's the entertainment industry, I feel like you can get away with a lot more of how like you dress. But like if you're going to be like, can you hear?
Yeah, we still hear you.
Oh, like, but I feel like it just depends. Like if you're a lawyer or a doctor, like again, it's not the most PC type of answer, but people are not going to take you seriously a lot of times if you're a lawyer or a doctor or like somebody that's like seen as a figure when it comes to certain types of career.
Professional figure.
Yes, if you have like a certain type of look, It's I wouldn't want that, but like that's how society views things.
That's a fact of reality, correct?
I see what you're saying, but Stefan or Steven, he looks very professional. He wears a suit, like almost all the videos I see him in, and he speaks to people like kind of like a Kevin Samuels type dude. I haven't watched too much of his content, but every time he pops up on my recommends, he looks very professional, and I wouldn't think that he's not serious when I see him because of the way that he takes care of himself. I think that it comes with maintenance for both weaves and dreadlocks. You have to take care of yourself is one thing. So I don't think that it necessarily holds you back from professionalism, depending on your maintenance. But bonnets and durags, yeah, I think so, because it's showing you're not prepared for productivity. You're not controlling your day. It's almost like a loss of control, and I don't feel like that is professional to wear durags and bonnets.
So I know about the Stefan. I know you're talking about. I just watched a few videos about him. You know, everybody like him, but I think the profession plays a huge role. I mean, he's on YouTube, so he can basically dress how he wants to dress. Now, there's a possibility if he goes to corporate America that he wouldn't be viewed the same as he is viewed on YouTube. I do think that, and it's just my opinion, that there are different styles that you can wear. Like if you have it, you know, tied up and coming down, it's fine versus the Chief Keef look. But unfortunately, that's a stereotype that I've been programmed to think that this is acceptable the way Stefan wears his versus the way that you see Chief Keef. And it's due to like what we see in the media. If we didn't see these things on social media, then we wouldn't have a stereotype. If we didn't see these things in the news and world style, we wouldn't have this stereotype to think that dreads have to look a certain way. But I think, again, it's all about the profession. If Stefan was trying to get a job,
entry level,
yeah. If he was trying to get a job at Microsoft, it wouldn't go. Maybe Apple and Google, because you know their standards are different. You know, they're willing to accept people for like who they are. But when it comes to like those, you know, other companies, I don't think it'll fly.
Well, one of my first computer programmers, he worked for IBM. He was a black man and he had full dreads, and he was definitely, you know, a part of the industry, a part of the culture of computer science. So I think, like I said, I think it's a lot of us having to push that wall down to say that, hey, this is who we are. Respect us of who we are. The more that we try to play around with the societal things, the more that we're putting ourselves on the front line for them to change it. We need to be able to push the lines and say, this is who we are. Respect us as human beings. And yes, there's an upkeep part. There's a neatness part that I do agree with. But at the same time, we also have to push back and say, hey, this is neat and it's still fine.
But that's where I say that is a little bit off, is how can you, if you're not owning anything in the company, if you're just an employee and you're trying to take a stand like that, yeah, you could take that stand. Good for you, you know, stand on your morals, but you're only going to go up so far in that company. Yeah, and if we as Black people all kind of took that stand, we're capped. We're literally capping our financial potential unless we're going to start building our own businesses right away. But to do that, we'd probably need experience. And to gain that experience, we need to conform in a way at some level until we gain that.
I just think, I think there's this thing with conformity that I probably have a problem with, but I do agree. There's a certain cap that does I would say this: there are certain caps that are put on Black people, yes, just by being Black. So I'm going to leave that alone.
Black. Oh my God! All right. You're starting, bro. You're starting, but okay. All right. Okay. We're gonna move. Before we move on to the next topic, I want to play a quick little video before the next topic. All right. So if you guys could do me a favor and mute your mics real quick. All right.
And as we began to walk through the airport, I saw so many, actually too many to count, and too many for me to tap. But I saw so many of our young sisters in head bonnets, scarves, slippers, pajamas, blankets wrapped around them, and this is how they're showing up to the airport. And I've been seeing it, not just at the airport. I've been seeing it at the store, at the mall. I've been seeing sisters showing up with these bonnets and headscarves and their slippers. And the question that I'm having to you, my sweet babies, when did we lose pride in representing ourselves? When did we step away of let me make sure I'm presentable when I leave my home? Let me make sure I'm representing the family I created so that if I'm out in the street, I look like I have pride in myself. And I'm not saying no full face of makeup. I'm not saying no full front lace frontal. I'm not saying none of that. All I'm saying is, could you please comb your hair? And if you don't want to comb your hair, they got enough shit out here now, baby, where you can style yourself up and look like you have pride. I'm not saying you don't have pride, but the representation that you're showing, someone would have to ask you to know that you had it.
Okay. So, what the next question is, when treated with little respect due to how you portray yourself, can you blame the other party? Maddie, let's start with you. Since you were super quiet on the last question.
I thought we were going to circle back. But, you know, this, I think, like, okay, if you just don't have your life together, or you're going through something serious, the deviation of people that, you know, present themselves in a certain way because they don't have the funds to, or the mentality, or they're going through something, I think that's kind of a deviation. I'm talking about the people who can present themselves in a specific way. And if you can present yourself in a specific way and someone treats you with little respect, and due to how you're portraying yourself and you're wearing bonnets or pajamas and this, that, and the third in public, then I think you can't, I don't think you can really blame the other person, because you're showing that you don't really have control over your life, that you're not really prepared for your day, and that I think there's a time and place for everything. And if you decide to blur those lines and to take the things that should be in your home outside of your home, then, you know, you're kind of asking for it. And maybe that's just my perspective, and maybe I need it to be expanded, but that's how I feel.
E-Black.
Tough question, because of course everybody feels as if they deserve respect no matter what. I think sometimes society can portray us differently as Black African Americans and Latino people, and those images kind of get blurred. I give you one instance. In Texas, you know, I go to bars and they say the whole list of no baggy jeans, no t-shirts, no this, no that. And it's basically saying no Black people, but that's what we wear. So do we deserve to be treated that way based on our attire when you let some other people come in with open-toe shoes? You know, so are we to blame for that, or is the other party blamed for that? But, you know, I do think there needs to be a personal accountability for your own image. I think you do need to take in consideration to what you are putting on and what images that you put on and how they project to the outer party. You can't walk around and think that I wear pink hair and I'm going to be respected or treated as if I'm just some type of genius or something. Or you can't fight societal. A lot of times you really can't help but fight societal stereotypes. So we can push back. We can try to push them back, but also we have to understand that it's an uphill battle in a lot of spaces.
I'm gonna just chime back in, but I just feel like, yeah, if you can't show that you have respect for yourself by taking care of the body that you were given, then I think that it's going to be kind of hard to request that respect from somebody else. If you're showing you don't care and you've just kind of, lost control and productivity and you're not prepared for your day, then I just think, show that you have respect for yourself and treat yourself how you want others to treat you.
Melissa? You're still muted.
Sorry.
You gotta love Melissa sometimes.
You Black's always in love with every girl that comes on here.
No,
Look at this guy. Oh, there you go. There you go. It's probably getting hot in your place now, huh?
Wait, no. My brother came in my room and I was like, no, go away. Anyway.
Whoa, it's a little creepy, all right?
I know, that's why I was like, go away. Right. Anyway. No,
was that SVU? Was that Special Victims Unit?
That was.
I cannot with you. I really can't.
All right,
and I love SVU. Anyway, sorry. Back to business. Anyways. No, I agree with what a lot of you are saying. It's just, it's like you never want to take the option of taking somebody's right to just be themselves, but it's just, I also feel like there's just a type of way that you need to carry yourself just in general to, succeed in life. And the thing is that it's just, we live in a society now where I'm so, and it's not even now. It's been for a really long time. I'm not gonna lie, but especially now, people judge you about the tiniest thing. So it's just you need to also be careful what you're putting out there. And the thing is that I've run into this as well, and it's not easy. Especially people from our communities, we don't get a lot of second chances when it comes to a lot of things. We don't. So it's just I want us to also realize that and to be smart and to also know that, so then we can progress as a community, because it's not very easy. It's I know we've progressed in a lot of ways, but we still have a lot of ground to also work through, so then we can be seen in certain type of ways. And I'm talking about in all different types of communities. It's not just your
internet is glitching a little bit, Melissa. I don't know if you can still hear me.
The ghost of P. Ray attacks.
P. Ray.
All right, Melissa,
even half as good, or be deemed that we deserve to be seen in a certain light.
Melissa, you froze for a while. I don't know if you can hear me. You're still froze. You want to hop out and come back in?
No, it
There she is.
I don't know. Wait, what are you saying?
You froze for a little bit of time, mid speech. Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay. Oh, there we go. She heard.
Oh no.
Melissa, we're gonna give you a quick little timeout, all right? And we're gonna go to JR real quick.
All
Wait,
right,
did you guys understand what I was saying? Because I'm
Yeah.
sorry, like the connection
Hold
is
on.
not best.
Yeah, I want to give your connection a little bit of time. Give your connection a little bit of time. All right. We're gonna go to JR and then we're gonna come right back to you. All right, Melissa.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So the question is, when treated with, what's the question again? When treated with little respect due to how you portray yourself. As you guys were speaking, I was just thinking that I don't think that these people really understand the image that they're portraying. I think that they think that it's normal. So unless somebody comes in, correct them, or they're trying to get to a place where uh, an opportunity or a situation or a moment, if they're trying to achieve that and then they're getting backlash, they're still not going to get it because they've been programmed all this time to think that this is the correct way. Wearing bonnets and wearing do-rags and speaking the way they speak, saying I'm finna, I ain't, that's learned behavior. And it starts with the parents. If the parents have been teaching them this and this is what they grew up around, this is the neighborhoods and the school systems, then they're not gonna know how to portray themselves. So they're gonna kick back. That's why they act reckless, and that's why they do the things they do. Is this is who we are. This is who I am. So, again, my final response is that I don't think that they are aware, and until they are aware or it matters enough, I guess when they get older, if they're talking like that and they decide to want to change their lives around, then at that point they will understand that they have to change the way they speak. They have to use proper English, and they can't say certain words. They can't dress a certain. They can't have their pants sag, and they can't wear these bonnets just everywhere until they experience enough. And they have to, just like an alcoholic. You can't tell somebody to stop drinking. They're gonna have to just when they
but even when we're even talking grown men, like the grown damn men, that are sagging pants and do rags and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Can they even blame people for treating or showing such little respect towards them?
I don't think they care. To them, they don't see that as wrong. They don't see that as wrong, no matter how you say it. You're the weird one. You're the one with the issue. You're the one with the problem. To them, that's their life. It's normal.
Damn. Melissa, we're gonna circle back to you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm so sorry. My internet connection is not really working with me today, but no, I agree with a lot of what you guys said. It's just what I was saying before is that we live in a society where we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard than, and I'm not even talking about, just only Spanish or Black communities. We have to hold ourselves to a higher standard than a lot of other, racial communities out there, because it's just we don't get as much opportunities when it comes to a lot of things. So we need to always put our best foot forward. So that's what I was basically trying to say.
Yeah. Anyone else want to chime in on that? E-Black, when you were saying about the whole going into places and it sounds like they're stereotyping against Black people by saying you can't wear this, and that. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, how many times have you gone out to a club or a bar and you've just seen the list, and the list basically describes Black people? No saggy pants, no baggy jeans, must have white or black hard sole shoes. And there is a level of professionalism that I do, think that clubs try to adhere to, but let's be honest. Very little times have you seen that only attributed only to Black people. It's literally Black people or people of our culture, basically. And
I mean, but if we're the only ones, if every other race of people is perfectly okay getting in the club, and yet we're the only ones not getting in, Is it that it's being racist, or is it that we're probably not conforming to the rules?
Well, that's the thing. I think the rules are basically there to say we do not want you in. That's really the rule. Is that we don't. It's not about whether we're not conforming. Black people, like I said, I've made, after about 22, I made it a fact that if I go out anywhere, I'm wearing black sole shoes, slacks, and a collared shirt, because I just got tired of being stereotyped at the door. I'm just not going to do it no more. There's been plenty of times in which I've gone out with some of my college buddies and my wife's college buddies, and they stop you at the door and they say, "Hey, your pants too baggy." That's a real thing. And I'm like, okay, but you're letting a guy in with cargo shorts. Like, how does that add up? So I think, like I said, it's yes, you can conform, but even in conformity, you're still met with roadblocks. And this conformity is just a simple black tax on us and our image.
I want to speak on something. I just experienced this very situation last weekend. Are anyone of you guys from Chicago? You guys stay in Chicago?
No.
Anybody? Okay. So we have this area that's called Hubbard Street, and I haven't been on Hubbard Street in over a year. And I want to say the reason because the pandemic, for one, and the pandemic. And then I just don't go there too often. But I recently was on the strip, and I was trying to get in line, and the guy was like, like no white tees. My tee was off white and it had lettering on it. And I literally watched a Caucasian male enter in with a white polo t-shirt with the polo horse. I didn't see the difference. I feel like I can't say it's racism, but it could be, depending on how you're looking at it.
Can I ask you this?
Go
yours
ahead.
was a collared shirt as well?
No, it was a t-shirt. Like, no, we both had t-shirts on.
Oh, you both had t-shirts.
Yeah, the difference that I think was that he was white, I was black. I don't think it's racism. I think that and it was a black security guard. So what I think is that based off what they know and what they've seen, they're trying to cut down on everyone. And I felt like I didn't look like I was going to cause chaos. It was me and my friend, and he just automatically, it couldn't have been him enforcing rules. It might have been whoever was over him that was enforcing that rule, but I literally watched it. And then we even hopped back in the same line. I said, let's go ahead. He went to the back. Let me see if the other guy says something. My other guy had on a Chicago Bulls t-shirt and he had a fitted hat. And he said, "Hey, you got to step out of line. We don't allow athletic apparel." So I do think that because of everything that's been going on with people that look like us, that they just cancel us, period. Is it racism? It's kind of really hard to say. I mean, I get it, but it's at the same time, it's totally unfair.
Okay. 1 second, guys. Hold on 1 second. If you're now jumping in, welcome to CKQ Podcast. The topic is, when treated with little respect due to how you portray yourself, can you blame the other party? If you have anything to drop in, if you'd like to call in, I'm putting the link down in the chat. You can only call in for one question per the show, so pick your question wisely. E-Black, I think you were about to say something.
Well, what I was going to say is, I was going to ask about JR's situation. Do you feel that that's conformity? Like we have to conform? Like does JR have to go make sure that he has a collared shirt in the trunk just to get into a club, or does he feel like, is there? I want to know your level, because I think you asked this for a specific reason. Because I just want to hear.
No, I think if you want to get into a specific place, you're going to have to conform to the rules of that place. And until you become someone who stands out from the get-go, Kanye West can walk in there looking like a homeless man, but he's Kanye West.
Yeah.
You know, and until we have that level of recognition, sorry, we're going to get stereotyped.
So
And
we have to
Well-
conform. We have to conform, and like I said, I have to wear a collared shirt. I have to make sure if I'm going anywhere.
Yes.
Yeah, like if you want to get in those areas, because I was tempted. I said, you know what, I'm going to go to our area where I know that I won't get this. I was highly pissed. It bothered me, and for a second, it's crazy because when you at the house, you're thinking like, should I just put on a collared shirt to play it safe? And that way that I know that they wouldn't have anything to say to me to turn me around. I didn't, but the bar that I was going in, obviously they changed the rules because anybody can get in at any given time. So when they told me that, I said, really? And it wasn't nothing I could do. So yes, if you want to get in those places, because next time if I go there, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have to put on a collared shirt. Or if I don't want to go there, I'm gonna go to where I can wear t-shirts.
Exactly. And I think go ahead, Melissa.
No, but I mean, like, it happened to Oprah. Like, I think it was like an X amount of years ago where she went to a different country. I think it was like somewhere in Europe. And we all know how rich and accomplished Oprah is. We all know how wealthy and successful she is. And just because, I guess wherever she went, they weren't used to that. And somebody had asked her if she was able to afford the type of purse that she wanted when she went to a store over there. To Oprah. And it's like, it's not me making it up. Like, literally it happened to her. Like, if you look like on like social media, or if you look it up, it's something that happened to her somewhere in Europe. So it's just like, it doesn't matter where you go. Like, you can never feel too safe. So that's why you always have to, and it sucks to say, like, I think that's like my phrase for the day. Like, it sucks to say, but you always have to carry yourself in a different manner, because you never know.
When you say different manner, do you mean not the same manner that other counterparts have, or a higher manner?
Like a higher manner. A higher one.
Higher than normal.
Higher than normal, correct. Like,
yes.
wasn't there like a big thing out not too long ago about how Asians had to score much higher than everyone else just to get into the same college? Like, Asians had, or like their SATs or something like that, they had to get like a 14, damn near perfect score, and Black people had to get the lowest like possible number to get into the same exact college.
That's because also, like, there's a lot of like stereotypes where, especially when it comes to the Asian community, people always feel like that they're great at math or something like that. And, like, even they get annoyed. They were like, just because we're Asian doesn't mean that we're great at math or like science. Like,
but they study hard and they conform to it, and then they still get into those schools. That's my point. Is
it's true. A lot of them also, are raised to like be great at school and also learn like an instrument, which also helps you, especially when it comes to like the
cognitive ability,
mathematics. Like, they have to learn how to play either piano or violin, or just any other instrument to like help you along. So it's just like, you see a lot of like other communities get taught the same thing, to be honest.
E Black, I see you over there. I see you sweating over there. What's up, bro?
I'm sorry. Like, okay, look.
He's telling me he's sick of this.
He has a
This
problem.
racial stereotype is just bugging me. It's just, essentially, we could talk about college.
Hold on. Wait. We're gonna move on to the next question.
Yeah,
so you can let it all out. All right.
I was going to go there.
All right. Okay. Next question of the night: does claiming racism keep us mentally held back, or is it acknowledging something we have missed? E Black, let us go. Start us off strong, because I know you want to. You've been holding it back.
Okay.
Let me know.
I think being uneducated about what racism is and how to identify it will hold you back, because you will then feel that everything is racism. Then when you do have an education of it, then you have to be cognitive of how to use it. So I think that's probably the missing link in all of it. It's just basically having a good solid foundation of history, having a good solid foundation of society, being well grounded, but also understanding, where you are and where you're not wanted. So that's really it. I don't want to go too far into it.
All right, so we're gonna go around. We're gonna go around, and then we're gonna come back to you because I want you to let it all out. Okay.
Yeah,
I saw a little bit on your channel, but we're gonna let it out today. Okay.
Okay.
All right. JR, let's go to you real quick. You're muted.
Does claiming racism keep us mentally held back, or is it acknowledging something we've missed? Racism is not going anywhere. I think it's here to stay. As long as it all depends on the upbringing. We still have parents and families today that still keep up the whole racism. What I do know is that we have more opportunity. So as people said before, I think some people use racism as an excuse, and we do have to work harder, but it's just what it is. I mean, we can't curve everything out as far as what's been the norm for years. We have gotten better, and I think that we have to focus on the positive, which is that we do got opportunity. We do have some loopholes. We do have some ways we can get around. So I think people have to take advantage of the opportunities. I think that if there's a way that we can get it done, then go ahead and work a little harder and get it done. Like you may we do have like black CEOs, we do have black VPs, and we do have black entrepreneurs. These are things that we didn't have back in the day. So when you look at where we were and where we are, we've come a long way. And I don't think racism is going anywhere. So we just got to move past that. If it affects you right then and at that moment, figure out how to navigate past it. If you can't navigate past it, then hey, you can fold. But I'm not gonna as long as I got opportunity and I see what's happening right now, and I see people that's thriving out here, I'm not gonna let the whole racism thing slow me down from my path.
Preach, man, preach. I drop. You get one of those. All right.
I appreciate it.
Maddie.
Yeah, I agree. I think that racism has been around for forever. I think it's something that's almost, you can say, a natural inclination in humans because, even sometimes I find myself being in that position on the other end where I may judge someone based off of their race or stereotype someone based off of their race. I think that, not to give it a pass, but I do think, like JR said, you have to find a way to navigate around it. Find out what you're going to do with that information. If someone is being racist to you in the moment, or you feel like they are, what are you going to do to get through that situation? Because there's two things you can do, and you could deplete or you can excel. And when you think somebody is being racist to you, what are you going to do with that information? Are you going to allow that to hold you back? Or are you going to look at different avenues where you can excel, where you can get ahead? We have so much more opportunity. And I don't think that, claiming racism is what does it say? Keeping us that held back, or is it acknowledging something we missed? I don't think we missed it. I mean, we talk about it all the time. I don't think that it's something we've missed. Even in school, we're always taught about, Black people have been, slaves, and there's racism and this and that. Everything that I've learned about in school about Black history has been the victim side. It has never been the prosperous side. And I think that we need to redirect the energy. I think we need to redirect the energy into a different direction and focus on the opportunity versus what can be holding us back.
No, E Black. I'm waiting. Don't worry. I'm waiting to circle back to you, E Black. Hold it on just a little bit. Melissa, let's hear your thoughts.
Yes. Oh boy. Like,
Oh,
to be
boy.
honest, I feel like it's not like.
Does somebody have something on in the background?
That's what I'm hearing too. It's not me.
No, definitely not me.
It's Melissa.
Is it you, Melissa?
No.
Your face, your face snitched on you.
Come on.
There it is. I love it.
Well,
we got to get a
to be
B-Nix
honest,
one at some point.
To be honest, I just.
I love it. Love it. Okay, Melissa, drop some gems. Go for it.
To be honest, like I kind of agree with Madison, Diane, because I was just like, it's not a new thing that we're going through. It's not. Like, it's been going on for ages and ages, even before we were born, our parents were born, our grandfathers were born. Like, it's not something happening with our society at all. Like, it's just, I just thank God for like social media now, because a lot of the things that were like brushed under the rug for like ages and ages are being like brought out to the forefront now because we have social media. And like a lot of like this generation doesn't play. They don't. Like, they see something that's wrong and they want to fix it. So it's just like I'm grateful for that, but it's just like I also feel like we've come a long way, but we have a lot more to do.
I don't know. I think this generation is, me personally, I think this generation is hypersensitive about everything. I think we're very there's some things that we can point out, but at some point work has to be done.
No,
like,
I know.
We sit and cry about too many things as opposed to
No, I know. I get it. Like the whole, like Santa Claus, I'm sorry to say, was a historical figure. Like, we all know like where he came from. And then everybody wants to like now be like, oh, we want a female like Santa Claus. And I'm like, no, like that's not, like there was like something that happened that people were like, oh, we want to be more like inclusive. And I'm just like, I understand where you guys are coming from, but you can't like rewrite facts. Like, Santa Claus was a man. You can't make him into a female just because you want to attract more people. I'm like, that's not how it works. Like, you need to be also like authentic to a certain thing.
Who haven't I picked yet? Maddie, right? I think. Or did I pick you already?
Wow. Yeah, Madison has gone. She had a great point.
JR, right?
You got me.
Did I? Everyone already went? Okay, E Black. You were cringing a lot of times. Please enlighten me. Let's hear it.
Well, okay. The thing is that claiming that having an acknowledgement of racism. Racism is about control. It's about how you control people. You see right now, and mostly all the states that have lost the election and Republicans, they are trying to control our vote. They are trying to tell you how to vote now. So going around acting like racism may not exist or may not have an effect on you is kind of backwards. You're going to go along with the get along, and then you're going to end up finding yourself being put in a detrimental position. Now, when we talk about economic uprising and cultural identity and all these things, these are things that are in-house that we have to do. But in terms of outwards wise, acknowledging that we are in this consistent fight and then still giving our future the opportunities that they need to have to fight is what's necessary. Having technology only has masked the day-to-day activities of most African Americans. Because we're able to communicate with a larger group of people, that makes us feel as if racism may have less effect. That doesn't mobilize us, but in the real world, it's still around. We're still being held back. We're still being class action lawsuits against real estate companies, class action lawsuits against landlords that are telling you that you're black, your name is too African or too urbanized. Everything that our existence there's essentially a black tax on, and not acknowledging it puts us at a detrimental. Just like when Clement cut his hair, he recognized that being as a black man, having his natural hair is a detriment to his professional career. So it's not holding him back, but he's acknowledging it and making strategic plans for it.
Correct.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Quick question in there. So you say, walking around like it doesn't affect you. How do you walk around like it does affect you? Like, what does that look like? Are you hypersensitive? Are you on edge? Are you not trusting people? Like, what does that look like when you walk around with that constantly going on your head? I'm going to be affected by racism. Because I think there's a way that you can acknowledge it and move on and live your life accordingly and work through it. And I think there's a way where you can dwell on it and stay in a place of stagnation. So I just want to know what you think.
Well, I think what ends up happening, I think the famous quote that I forgot his name, but he said that being black in America is always constantly living in a constant state of rage. And it's gonna drive me nuts to forget who said that, but that's what essentially you're saying, is that acknowledging that you're black will always leave you in a constant state of rage and not being approachable and not having relationships that could be fruitful and stuff. So that's kind of what you're saying. I think there are certain people who are soldiers that are willing to take up the mantle, and then there are certain people who are just saying that, look, I will do the best I can, but then I'll drop off maybe at donations. I'll do what I can. And then there's some people who says that I don't care. So, the fact of the matter is that the people who are actually trying will always bring on the people who aren't. So it's a matter of where you feel like you can fit in.
You said that basically what I'm saying is acknowledging that you're black is being angry. If you think about it too much, you're going to be angry.
It's just James Baldwin. Goodness. But that's what he said. But that's what he said. He was, essentially he felt that, if you consider black issues, you're always going to be in a consistent state of rage. If you consider your own issues, you're going to be in a consistent state of rage. So, I think you have to temper it and figure out where you want to jump on and jump off the ship, or how you feel like you want to go. So. And either way is fine. We're all God's children. I don't think there's nothing God hasn't put on the earth that we can't handle.
I don't know. Again, I think everyone has their struggles, man. And I think everyone has their struggles. And the more we focus on the struggle and point at it and point at the blockade, we'll miss the little loopholes that we can actually use to get around and make ourselves successful. The more we focus on, I wasn't able to, like JR was saying, I wasn't able to get into the club because of my shirt. Realistically, you could have made a scene about it. It could have been a racist thing. But what would that have changed? You still wouldn't have got in. You had to conform. Like, at some point in time, we have to start saying, okay, we need to start consolidating within ourselves and start moving up as a group, as a unit, and work together to move up and conform to a point where we don't need to conform anymore. But we have to conform. We have to. Like this whole living our lifestyle, dressing the way we want, and then blaming society for saying, hey, we don't want this, and that inside of this club, and then saying, oh, that's messed up. It's like, no, just start moving in a little bit more of a professional manner and do what you need to do. Do what you need to do to get up in the world. That's just it. Do what you need to do.
I want to also add to it. I know you're about to ready to move on to the next one, but there are situations where people are programmed and they're not willing to lend a hand. Like they're trying to cross over to the other side. They're trying to be a part of the other side versus being on the other side in order to bring back to our community. I've witnessed that where somebody that looked like me didn't support me. They didn't think that I was capable, but because there was somebody else that was a different color, they valued their opinion more. They thought that they was more important because they was programmed like that. So I think it's very important that if you have an agenda to get in and to conform and to be a part of that program, make sure that you come back and bring those people up. Put those people in position, because there are so many talented brothers and sisters that's out here that's not getting opportunities because of the color of their skin. And I think that we have so many talented people. Like, you're talented. You should definitely get an opportunity to have a bigger platform. People should be able to listen to you. E Black is he's very intelligent. He should be put into these positions just off what I've been hearing. He shouldn't be based off, how dark he is. I'm sitting here listening to the two young ladies. I'm listening to Melissa. She's very intelligent. She should get the same opportunity, not because she's not because she should just get the opportunity, not because she's held back for being a Black woman. And then we have Madison that, she should get the opportunity as well. She shouldn't be judged because her mother didn't get the opportunity. She should get the same opportunity that everybody else gets. So I think that it's very important for us, as you said before, to move as a community and make sure that we elevate each other. And when we are in these positions, to consider people, especially if they are qualified. There shouldn't be no such thing as, well, I'm afraid if I hire this person, then I don't know what other people are going to say. If they're qualified, hire them. It doesn't matter the color. Don't feed into that program of this is what they want to see. If you're in that position and they're qualified, bring the people up.
Let me ask you this: Do you guys think we know how to make friends?
Who is we? You say we?
We in the Black community. Do we know how to make friends with each other?
I would say not all of us. Some people are good at networking and talking, and some people are not. I mean, we often talk about this. I talk about this often. I have a regular 9 to 5, and we speak about how everybody else at the job seems to support each other. And if they don't like each other, guess what? They still support each other. But when it comes to our people, we don't support each other. It's always the hate. It's always the talk down. It's always the gossiping. So when it comes to making friends, I'm not sure if we know what that looks like. Like, we're not used to it.
So how can we actually elevate ourselves and then come back for people that we can't even see as friends?
I would almost say Black people have always been friends. Like, if you look at every historical thing, Black Panthers was a coalition between the Puerto Ricans, the Cubans, the Asians. We even defended Viet Cong, Vietnam. Cesar Chavez followed our motto. Black people are an ally to almost every community. It's just that we do not benefit from that friendship. So when we say we don't have friends, is that we're being constantly targeted. We need to be more proactive in being friends within our own community, so we can then outwardly have the friendships. Because us being friends is not working with other societies. It's not working because they are not essentially reciprocating the same message or the same problems or the same solutions, I should say. So that's my opinion, is that, if you look anywhere around, when you look at housing development, you look at anything, we built a lot of things for other cultures to come in. They shake our hand. They say, yeah, we are doing this together. Then they benefit, and then they lock us out of the banks with the Asians. They lock us out of the other communities as the Latino side sometimes. They lock us out with our Arab brothers. They come into our communities and we become friends with them, but then they lock us out of that. So we as Black people are naturally nurturers of the planet. We naturally do this. Friendship. But it's the problem that other cultures do not want to give back. And that, so we need to start becoming friends with each other so we can start showing force within our community, because it's just not working. We're being too friendly in a way.
Personally, I see what you're saying, E Black, but on a personal level, like friends with each other, I feel like I'm a part of a lot of Facebook groups like Black Girls Gardens or Black Chicks with Chickens and stuff like that. And they post stuff on the group, and a lot of people comment, or Black Women of San Antonio, and there's like 8,000 plus people in each of these groups. Sometimes I see when women post that other women make fun of them, or laugh at them, or call them cis, but it's in kind of like a not sister loving type of way. They're being, you know, they're poking fun, and I kind of see that a lot in my group on a personal level, and I do think it's difficult because sometimes I feel like there are these fluff words like cis and queen and all this, but I don't think it comes from a place of love, and I can see where people are kind of being I can't think of the right word, but they're not being genuine about it, and I see that a lot in these groups, and I think like, geez, if it was a different ethnicity in the group, or not just a Black women group, because these are specifically Black women groups where people comment and say things that are horrible. I'm like, I thought we were supposed to like each other on this, but just from a personal perspective, a personal level, I think it's kind of difficult, and I'm not too sure why, and I'm not too sure the solution either.
Good point, Maddie.
I think it's tough for. I think a lot of us need to start stepping out of our comfort zones and actually start approaching, because just like E Black was saying, as Black people, we're naturally nice, nurturing, friendly people. We're just not that way to each other. But I've noticed a lot of us are very warm and welcoming to each other. We just do not put on that outward appearance. We mean mug each other first.
But I just feel like it's not only like a Black thing, because like I feel like other minorities do it to each other as well. Like I grew up like in Hispanic households, and it's like I'm not trying to say like my family was like that, but it's very similar. And I to be honest, I blame the whole entire like colonization type of thing, because they've taught like other minorities to hate within themselves. And I feel like that's where it stems from. And it's just it's trying to like disintegrate like different groups within themselves so they don't have to do it. And I feel like that's where it stems from. And it's just like I'm not saying that I know the solution to the problem, but I just feel like we all have to have like a sense of unity and also a sense of community where it's like, yes, we can like all fight for each other, but also not like judge each other within our own communities, because I feel like that's where we have a lot of issues. I feel like that's like it creates a lot of problems. And it's like, if we're not a united front, then why would any other community, like, and I'm not even talking about just us, like in general, like if you're not a united front, then that's when people can see like all the cracks in your armor and wreak havoc. And I feel like we need to also have a united front and like have more of an understanding, because it's like there's always going to be an issue whether you're lighter than somebody or you speak different than somebody when it comes to your race. It doesn't matter. Like, it's just people always want you to like disintegrate from within, so then they could just look and be like, oh, you see, that's how they are, or whatever. And it's not supposed to be that way. Okay. And I just feel like that's where it comes from.
All right, we're gonna bring up someone. CJ Kyle, what's going on, bro? How you doing?
What's good, man? Can you hear me good?
Yes, I can.
What's good,
How you doing?
CJ?
What's good, everybody? How y'all doing?
Good, good. Hey.
JR, you're muted.
Fine about yourself. My bad.
What's good? What's good?
CJ, what do you want to say, bro?
Well, I just wanted to tackle the bonnet thing real quick. And I saw, if we're referring to Monique, I saw what she was saying about the bonnets. And I think that it comes from a couple of different angles. Coming from somebody who travels a lot, if I see a woman wearing a bonnet in an airport, I don't care because I'm trying to get to my destination. It's not my business. It's not a big deal. Second of all, she's saying that you should go and tap somebody on the shoulder in the Walmart or whatever and hold them accountable, saying, hey, you shouldn't be dressed like that. Well, number one, I don't know where everybody else is from, but I live in Detroit. And doing something like that in Detroit is very dangerous. You don't just walk up to nobody and say, well, hey, I don't like the way you look. You're setting the black community back because you have a bonnet on. Now, again, it's a lot of things that I don't like in the world. But who am I to really just to go up to that person and address the situation? And number three, you don't know what that person is going through. Now, again, I'm not saying that I'll rock with the bonnet. I think it's a bad look to do it in public. But at the same time, I'm not going to just walk up to somebody I don't know and say, hey, you know what? You need to be held accountable for that bonnet. That's a good way to get shot and killed. So
Hey, I got a little pushback. If somebody was to wear a Trump shirt, would you say, hey, what are you wearing that shirt for?
No, it's not my business.
Okay.
It's not my business. I mean, they could wear what they want to wear.
But you agree on the idea that it's probably not the proper thing to be doing outside of your home.
Oh, absolutely. Like my woman couldn't do nothing like that. But at the same time, I don't know that person. So for me to walk up to another person and say, hey, you need to do something about that. No, that's a good way to get killed and stumped out. Just like a lot of the young cats who wear their pants below their butt. Yeah, it's not cool. I don't like it. I think it's a bad look. But am I finna run up to 20 dudes and be like, man, y'all need to pull your pants up? No. For what? It's a good way to get shot.
It's a statement.
Yeah, I'm good, man. So like, you just, to me, if somebody want to really change, then they'll change. And I understand it's up to us to be the example of change. But this whole like Monique, to me, to me, it was very condescending from how she was making her statements. And again, I'm not saying that the bonnets are appropriate. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not. But at the same time, I'm not going to walk up to another grown person who pays their own bills in their household and tell them that you need to stop doing that. Because if somebody didn't like what I was wearing and they said you don't need to wear that, to me, we will have a problem.
Yeah, that's a fight.
So what we're saying is that we're beyond reproach within anybody in our community.
I'm not saying that, but I think it's a way you do it. I think if you don't know the person, then who are you to step to them? You don't know the person. If I didn't know you from somebody in the street and I said, well, you know what, E-Black, I think your haircut is detrimental to our society. You know what I'm saying? I don't know you and I don't know what you on. So anything is liable to pop off. Kevin Samuels always say it's a low level threat of violence between men. So you're not going to step to me unless you really want some issues on some stuff like that, especially if you don't know me. Now, if you're an elder, there's a certain level of respect. I may, take that accordingly, but I've seen elders get laid down. So, I mean,
My point is that I think we've gotten so far of a society to where we're scared of each other, and this is something that's fairly new, like probably 2 generations old. There was a time in which like this wasn't that way. We could talk to each other and say, "Hey."
All right. Well, let me ask you this: If I believe one way and you believe another way, and we just happen to disagree, okay. For example, if I see 2 men out together holding hands and I don't believe in that, do I have the right to tell the 2 men that that's inappropriate to the society and to the culture?
All I'm saying is that we've gotten so far in the black community that we're just scared to even say anything to each other or address any issue.
But what I'm saying, if I see if I see 2 black men holding hands together walking up the street, do I have the right to approach them and say, what you're doing is bad for the society? I don't agree with it. I'm holding you accountable. Do I have that right?
I mean, I see what you're trying to do or say, but in reality, we're talking about things that push the black image and family further.
That does plus. We got a whole. Have y'all seen Buck Breaking? The whole effeminization of black men. So that's what I'm saying.
You're talking about sexuality. Like, you're talking about sexuality to the wrong person. I'm just saying that. So that your question is just a little loaded to one side. If you want to talk about do-rags, do I personally go and say, hey bro, you wearing a do-rag outside, like show your waves? Yes, I say that stuff.
But image is image though.
But
regardless.
image is image, but I'm not scared to say or go up to my fellow individuals and talk about it.
Okay, that's fine, and you got every right to do that. But that's just something that you're comfortable with doing. Now, just because you may not feel comfortable with telling the two men that are holding hands, and I don't got nothing against people in that lifestyle, but are you comfortable enough to tell them that too if you didn't agree with that?
Well, that's the thing. I can't say that, so I'm not gonna. I can't. Right. It's a logical fallacy. You get what I'm saying?
Are the two men wearing do-rags? No, I'm just kidding.
Right. So that's pretty much all I had to say, man. I'm enjoying the show.
I agree with you. I'm just making a point. I'm just making a point of how black men are just kind of at the state that they're in. But I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Well, yeah, man. I just feel like, and she said wearing a bonnet is really messing up the black community. Listen. Jay-Z is a billion.
Saying bonnet, pajamas, and fuzzy slippers.
Right. Jay-Z is a billionaire, and his hair looks crazy. Crazy. Now, which one of us are going to walk up to Jay-Z and say, you shouldn't wear your hair like that, player? And he's a billionaire. He can do what he want to do. So I just think it's just about your personal perspective and how you look at it at the end of the day.
Sexual preference versus how you present yourself. So I feel like that's where E-Black is trying to draw the difference. Like,
but my point was, if it's something because
for the image,
I also feel like it has to do with like your station in life, because it's like, yeah, Jay-Z can get away with it because, like you say, like he's like an Uber billionaire at this point. So it's like he can do whatever he wants, but like Joe Schmo on the street, like a lot of people can't get away with that. Like it's very hard. Like you would want to get to that level of being like Jay-Z, where you could just do whatever and people don't care, or they emulate that about you, or they love that about you. But regular people don't have that luxury. And I think that's also
what I think you got to define what regular is. Because if a woman who was a PhD med surgeon went out with a bonnet on and you approached her and said, I don't like your bonnet, but she has a PhD and she makes $300,000 a year, then what are we really talking about?
I know. Like I'm not saying that I would judge somebody like that, because to be honest, I really don't care, because it's like to each his own, and you never know when you're meeting somebody when they're like that. You never know. They could be stressed out going through something, and it's like, okay, point A to point B, like sorry, I had to put this on real quick because I had to just do this real quick. Like you never know. But it's just like, I may not think
isn't it like 7 seconds? People get an impression from you from 7 seconds.
Oh, sorry. Like, yeah, like I may not think that about somebody, but I'm not everybody. And other people think completely differently. And it sucks to say, but that's the truth.
Well, I got a question just real quick, and then I'll let y'all go. Who are we trying to impress? No. Like other than us, outside of our community, but who are we trying to look good or not look good for? You know what I'm saying? Because people have been pulled over, shot, and killed wearing a 3-piece suit. So what is the conversation really talking about at this point? Is it just because you don't like the bonnet and the way it looks? And again, I don't like the look either. But my whole point is, do we have that right to tell somebody and it's wrong when people who get killed in 3-piece suits, it was men who were hung in 3-piece suits. So that was my whole point.
That's the thing. Like,
wait, Melissa. We have got to move on to the next point. All right, we're going a little off sidetrack. CJ, I gotta get you on sometime. We gotta work out our schedules, my man.
All right, man. It was a pleasure.
Always.
Hey,
thanks,
shout out to you, my bro.
I appreciate you.
Damn. Always loves having him on. All right. So I got one quick little clip before we move on to our next questions. So if you guys could mute your mics again. All right. Okay.
But when you start talking to men, say, you know, cheap is some of the most expensive stuff out there. You gotta do better with your image. You need to get in the gym or start working out. You know, check out your nutrition, drink more water, think about what you're wearing, put a little thought into it, and stop acting like clothes and your image is just a disposable thing that no one's supposed to care about, or that you're special and the rules don't apply to you. Guys, a lot of guys don't want to hear that because it goes counter to what they believe. And, you know, they'll get in the comment section asking questions when they're really not looking for answers. I'm making this video for the guys who are looking for answers. Look, bottom line, whether you believe it or not, your image is crucial. It's important. And if you don't think it is, go dress like a homeless person this weekend. Go waddle around in the mud and go dress like a homeless person and walk around this weekend and see how much differently you get treated. That seems extreme to some guys. Image, not ego. Image and ego are two different things. And here's the thing, any guy that relates image to ego is really fishing for a problem. You know what, most guys know what I'm talking about. You know good. That's what really gets this discussion twisted up. When someone conflates the argument, means I'm talking about image and they start talking about fronting, or I'm talking about your appearance and you talking about, you know good and doggone, people know good and doggone well what we're talking about. They just don't want to hear it. It's like, well, I don't want to deal with that. And that's really what it is. A lot of us don't want to deal with the reality that, look, you have to dress the part. You need to look like you're about business to have business happen.
Okay. We can unmute. And that was the little clip I want to show you guys before we move on to our next question. That was the GOAT himself.
The Godfather.
All right. The Godfather. All right. So, when can we call each other out on poor image?
Bro, y'all just leading me straight into this stuff, man. Golly.
JR, let's start with you.
When can we call each other out on poor image?
Yeah.
I don't think you can walk up to a stranger. I think that you have to have some form of relationship with that person.
Not a stranger. So I'll add that caveat.
Okay.
Not a stranger, but your buddy.
Uh-huh.
When can you call him out?
I think you could call them out when you've been leading by example. So if you move in a certain way, and that way that you move is respected, then I believe that you will have an influence on like what he does. So for example, because the way I move, I believe that with certain people I have an influence on. It may not be everybody. If somebody is above me, then I'm still learning. But if I've surpassed someone else as far as the things that I'm having, the lifestyle that I'm living, I believe that if I tell my man something that he will listen. And so often there are some times where you may say something and it might get offensive, but then they may sit on it for a few and then come back and say, okay, yeah, you might be right. My image needs to change, or maybe I can't get in certain doors if I alter this.
Okay. So it's not so much calling them out, but it's more your image and your presentation should change their mind.
Well, if they're seeing results. So I have people that that view me, or they say, out of everybody, like you're the one that's doing decent. So I think it has to be like, I often had this conversation with Anton, and Anton gets criticized because he leads with the things that he have, and he said that if he didn't have these things, that like would people listen to him? And he's a when it comes to complete strangers. So when it comes to somebody that um, just off my personal experience, I believe that who I am as an individual, what I do, like what I'm doing, like what they see that I have, the type of person that I am, I have elevated, and I think that if they're not there yet, that they would be more inclined to listen to me because I'm already ahead. I'm already have access to opportunities that they don't have. So it's not that I'm just telling them, it's like they're seeing me in a different light. They're seeing me different. They're seeing me better, and not because I'm in competition with them, but because of the hard work that I put in.
I like that. I like that. Maddie.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good point when you lead by example. But I was thinking prior to that, because I was thinking when you know the person and not when they're strangers, and then you say, well, okay, we're only talking about when you know the person. I think that any time is a good time, and maybe that's just the type of person that I am. But I feel like if you know the person and you're going somewhere with that person, there's a certain way to do it. Don't say, you look horrible, change yourself, but kind of encourage that person and be like, hey, we're gonna go out. It might not be a lot of places, but get ready, feel good. Let's just, you know, be presentable. There's a certain way to talk to that person about it. You don't have to be rude, but I think that whenever you've established a friendship or a relationship, it's a good time to bring it up if you feel strongly about it.
That's good. That's good. E Black.
It goes back to what I was saying is that, we've gotten so scared of each other that we're just really not able to even call each other out. I mean, I've been called out on many a times. I'll give you one example where my daughter was going through her Frozen days where she had an Anna Elsa doll. She had a white doll and another white doll with red hair. And then a woman came up to us and was like, don't have that girl with that white doll.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's how society is. So when I hear fear-based things in which we say that we cannot approach each other or don't do it, it's like, no, we're supposed to do this. This is our generation to make a stance for who we want to be and what we want to do. But the main thing is you do it with relationships, leading with kindness. You don't just say, hey, man, You say, you give a conversation, you create rapport, then you start leading on to things that you may see. That works better than just flat out, hey man, your pants on baggies. Talk to the brother. Say, hey, how you doing, man? Where you from? What's going on? You create a rapport first, then they understand and respect you. But we got to get out of this mindset that we cannot correct each other on nothing. That just because you're a stranger, that you're not a family member or you're not a brother to us. That's the problem in our community, is that we're no longer bonded together on any part. And I'm not like some old person that's like, go up and meet with everybody and talk to everybody type of person. But all I'm saying is that, we have a mentality now in our back community that is just really not helping us get any more closer to each other, because we're just not, if we're not willing to celebrate our victories, then we can't correct our downfalls either. So, we can
That's
correct.
actually pretty good. That's actually pretty good, honestly. That shifted my mentality a little bit, not gonna lie to you. That was good. That was good. That was a good point. Because obviously you got to step up to someone with a level of understanding before you can actually change their mind and how they're presenting themselves.
Yeah.
But okay. Speak. Preach, bro. Preach. You get that. You'll get that. All right.
Hey, that's my first one. That's my first one.
You did good. You done good, kid. You done good.
But listen,
you done good, kid. All right. Melissa.
I agree with like a lot of points that you guys have said. I think it's just and I've seen it like firsthand. I just feel like, and it's not only like, again, like I keep on saying, like, because I'm multicultural and stuff like that. Like, it's not only the Black community that does it to each other. It's like Hispanic, it can be like Muslim, it can be Jewish, it can just be any type of like minority group or a group that sees themselves as a minority. I just feel like they're so used to having their own people be so hard on each other, where a lot of times, like, even though you may not feel like it's coming from a place of judgment and you're just trying to like better each other, they see it as another form of attack. So that's why I feel like also we need to open the lines of communication and, you know, talk to each other and be like, no, we don't mean it in that way. We mean it because we want each other to like thrive. And I feel like a lot of that message, especially when we say like certain things, like it triggers people. Like words mean things. And it's like, even though you may not see it that way, it's like also it can become like a political thing of people, like it triggers their mind of like back in the old days of what happened. Like you never know, like people have different sensitivities, and it depends. It's not how you say it, it's not what you say, it's how you say it and
So
how
then
you
you have to be
deliver
thinking
it.
about you have to be thinking about how the person is going to feel about what you say. Essentially, what you're saying.
I'm saying like what E Black was saying, it's not like, you know, necessarily like what you're saying, it's how you say it. Because it's like I can say something and he can say something, but the way that I say it can be completely different of what he's like, how he says it or how it comes across. So I feel like, especially like now, people like hold on to like certain words or like verbiage of like what you're saying. So it's just like people are very like careful of what you're saying to them now. It's not like, oh, we can't get away with a lot of the ways that people used to say things back in the day. So it's just like trying to just be careful of trying to, you know, actually convey your message in the right way, so they can actually get it where they know that you're not trying to offend them. That's where I'm trying to go. And that's where like I feel like we all need to like have, again, like an open line of communication, so we can like actually thrive as a community and as a unit, instead of like making it seem like, oh, we're trying to like tear each other down when we should just be a united front. That's what I'm saying.
Good point, Melissa.
You almost said Maddie. Yeah, I caught that.
Relax.
You were like,
Relax.
You're muted, JR. I think everyone went on this one, right?
Yeah.
I liked everyone's points. Everyone's points was pretty clear cut. I think we were all pretty much on the same point. You gotta know how to actually say it when you're approaching a stranger. And to a friend, obviously, you shit on them real quick, you know?
But it's
You gotta do.
also our responsibility as adults now to do that.
Yeah, and that's a good way to lead into the next question.
Oh man, I'm like,
You're on a roll. You got two. Man. You got two today. Can he get a I don't care? JR?
Yeah, he get one.
Yeah.
I don't care.
There it is. Awesome. All right. So, does poor image keep you from maturing? E Black, since you're on a high, start us off.
This is one of those things that when I used to teach in Oakland for like 2 years in front of young men for in a nonprofit, right? And we talked about it all the time, is that the things that you eat are actually the things that come out. The things that you put on your body are the things that you represent. They seep into you, the things that you say and everything that you do. So, you know, maintaining things that are detrimental that are death, destruction, and not really advantageous to growth, they will seep into your body and they will prevent you from seeing a great path in life. You know, we all go through our punk rock phases. I guess some people go through their punk rock phases. They wear the skull and bones, and we all go through our phases. But I think that the overall image is to not be the image that you are representing. Have some type of self-image that is positive, and make sure that image is for developing a better person, not just developing any old person. And that's really all I got to say. Like sometimes people have an image that they want to be like a famous drug using rapper that just womanizes women. Well, you're going to end up being that. You know, you got to have good positive imagery and then start working towards that imagery. But don't work towards negative imagery, because you'll work towards that negative energy.
You lost me a little bit.
I know.
Right? We'll come back. We'll come back. All right.
Give me one of those one.
All right.
Look, y'all, between the both of y'all can give me some.
There it is.
What? I missed it. Went over my head.
Well, Melissa, you'll get this.
No, I'm trying.
That's for you. That's for you. Melissa, you want to go next? Does poor image keep you from maturing?
No, I agree with that sentiment, because it's like, especially when you surround yourself with other people that enable certain type of behaviors or don't call you out or say certain things, it can prevent a lot of growth when it comes to progressing in life. And I completely agree with that, because, we live in a society now where image is everything. And it's I've always been taught, and also that's why, slowly but surely, I've had to, stay away from certain friends or friends groups, because how the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. And it's you don't also want people to think that you're a certain way just because you're hanging out with somebody that's a certain way. And I know it's again, that's my catchphrase of the day. It sucks to say, but people don't know you from a can of paint. So it's also about your impression. So if you're hanging around somebody that's crazy, they're oh, well, she must be crazy or he must be crazy because they're hanging out with that person and they're acting a certain way. So that person must be the same way. And I know you shouldn't care what other people think, but again, impression is everything. And again, I said this before, you never know when you're in a certain situation who you can meet or where it's going to take you in your life. So
Yeah.
it's I also and when you're young, you really don't think about that. But as you get older, you do think about that, and you try to teach the next generation that that's how the world perceives things. And you don't want to block a blessing just because you're not thinking correctly, So it's just especially more than ever, you have to be careful of, the type of aura or the type of people that you surround yourself with. And I agree with that 100% when it comes to a lot of things.
Okay. JR?
Does poor image keep you from maturing? I don't think that poor image keeps you from maturing as an individual, but I think that it does keep you from maturing on what you can possibly do when it comes to the world. I think that image is important. I think that how you carry yourself can dictate how people perceive you, how seriously they take you, how far they're willing to look at you as a leader, as a coach, as a role model. So I believe that image does affect how you move in the world. I believe somebody can be mature, but if they don't get their image together, then it's going to hold you back.
So you could wear a suit but still be an immature person.
Yeah, because I mean, like they'll see you, but once you get to speaking, then it's just like, oh, what is the guy talking about? So, I think it's a start. I mean, if somebody is comes from, again, we've been speaking about this all night. If they didn't grow up with a good education and they had these good habits and they put on a suit, I think that they will at least get the look. So I think it goes hand in hand, but I believe it's a start, and people will take you a little bit more serious when it comes to your image. I mean, there are a lot of people that don't speak properly, but the fact that they started. So when you put a suit on, that's a start. When you put on a dress and a makeup on the interview, that's a start. At least you're trending in the right direction, and you will get a little bit close, or if not, the actual job. So I think that the image is very important when it comes to how people perceive you in life.
Okay. Maddie?
I don't necessarily think that poor image keeps you from growing up, but I do think that having a good image can build your confidence and change the way your personality is. So I think that it's good to have a good image to help you, like JR said, go get in the right direction. I don't necessarily think having a poor image will hold you back, but like he said, people might take you a little more serious, and you might take yourself more serious as well. You act different when you dress different. And it's kind of like when you wake up and you don't make your bed. Like, you just got to take care of stuff to keep you from going in that bad direction again. Because if you don't make your bed and it's messy, likelihood is you'll lay in it again. If you don't get dressed and get ready for your day, likelihood is you're not going to want to do a lot of things. And I just think that it's, like he said, it goes hand in hand. You've got to understand what a good image, that by having a good image, there's certain things that come with that. I mean, I don't think there's too many times where I dress nice and put on heels and feel like I'm going to be unproductive. So I just think you got to understand that you're helping yourself, you're helping your opportunity, and it's better to prevent yourself from going in the wrong direction.
Okay. That was good. Good
Man,
answer.
can we get that bell? Drop that bell on her, man. Golly,
You
she
think
worked
so?
hard on that one, man.
Let's fight. She'll get that. Okay.
Come on.
All right. I got a question for you guys. So, do you think, if we're going off of image, do you think if we all took our image a little bit more seriously, no matter what community, the community itself would actually start being a little bit more productive?
I think the image it has. That's an interesting thing. I think what we used to do is we used to in the community put forth an effort on what the image was. We stipulated what the image was. We can't just keep following image because they'll just keep changing the standard. If you ever get designer clothes, what do they say? We don't want you wearing our clothes no more, right? Tommy Hilfiger was the perfect. Tommy Hilfiger was the perfect example. It was upscale clothing. We start wearing it. Now, next thing you know, Tommy is ghetto. So it's not about whether we bring ourselves up in image. We have to have a method or a message behind the image that we're bringing towards everybody, and have it stand on something that is beneficial for us, not just doing it.
Well, I think that's different when it comes to a brand, because I mean, I definitely see what you're saying in that aspect, but I don't think dressing well collectively necessarily means you have to purchase from certain brands. I mean, I don't have any brand clothes, and I love me some heels from Ross or whatever, and you make it look good, you present it in the way that you can. But I see what you're saying about the brands issue, but I do think that you can dress well collectively from some selections from the cheaper end.
So back on these hills things, right? So what? But yeah, but I mean, we all get what we're talking about, right? We're all what I'm talking about is essentially, dressing well is a thing that we all should try for, but usually they change the ball on what dressing well is.
Well, I don't even think it's not so much on like because to Maddie's point, it's not so much of the idea of like Tommy Hilfiger or dressing well. We're like, think about back in the day. You'd like back when we still had nothing, we'd always used to put on our best clothes to walk out of the house. They weren't brand name clothes, but they were still our best clothes because we always want to be presentable when we walked out of the house. And that's back when families were still strong, back when we had a good family core like unit. So that's why I'm saying is if we started taking our image a little bit more seriously, if we looked in the mirror and could actually stomach the person that we see in the mirror, would we actually start making better decisions for ourselves? As a community, would that actually shift?
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I agree with what you guys are saying. Like, I just
thought you were throwing up gang signs. I don't know.
She was leaving church. She was leaving church.
I was like, wait a minute, I have a point. Hold on a second. Okay, no, I agree with what you guys were saying because it's like when you feel good, and especially when you know that you look, it doesn't matter. To be honest, I don't have to have name brand stuff. Like I wear my mom's like custom jewelry, and she's no longer with us. God rest her soul. But like I get compliments on it every single day from different types of people. And I always say, "Oh, thank you. My mom would be very like glad that you said that." And it doesn't have to be real. Like it's just whatever you make about what you have and how you present yourself. But that being said, like I mean, we can all like in a perfect world, like yes, like what Clement was asking, like if we hold ourselves to a higher standard, or we look the part, or we dress the part, or whatever, like do we feel like it's going to make everything better and like we're all going to come together as a community? In a perfect world, yes, but there's always going to be certain people that it doesn't matter how good you look or how well you're presenting your community. It doesn't matter what ethnicity you are, like people are always going to say something. So it's just like, I was even telling my cousin like this today. I was like, I know we have like, we feel we have like so much responsibility when it comes to a lot of things. But to be honest, at the end of the day, you have to live your life for yourself. Like you can't live your life, constantly worrying about like, oh, like what other people are going to say. Like, trust me, and I'm a female, and I feel like all females, like all people in general go through this, especially like as a female, like you go through what you think like, oh my God, if I do this, this is what society is going to think of me. But I also feel like it's important to have like some like sense of self, reliance and like respect in your own self, where it's not something that's easy to cultivate, but it's something that's attainable for you to have in yourself and not have to rely on other things to be able to get there. Because it doesn't matter how much right you're doing, people are always going to say something. So that's just like, I want people to like also to like realize that part as well.
Okay.
Can you ask that question one more time? The last question.
Yeah, I said if we started what was the question? If we if we actually started as a community started presenting ourselves well, like actually wearing clothes so that we're happy with the people that we actually see in the mirror, would that affect our choices, and would that maximize the community as a whole, whatever community it is? Because if image matters and the image dictates the kind of choices we're going to be making, would it be smarter for us to start caring about it a little bit more, I guess?
Well, one of the things I have people that reach out to me and I kind of give them advice as far as building a brand and YouTube channel and so forth. And one of the things that I just think that image is just one piece of it. I think that you have to be consistent. You have to also actually have to be seeing like some results. So there's a combination of things that come into play with it. I don't think image is gonna just do it. It's just a piece of the pie. But once you start putting all these things together, let's just say you have 5 things, and out of the 5, you're doing 3 of them. Like, you're gonna slowly but surely see the difference. You're gonna see the difference within yourself, and you're gonna also see the difference on how seriously people are taking you and how they're viewing you. So if image is one of them, if you being consistent is another, if you engaging within the audience is another, then you're gonna see the results. I don't think image alone is it's a start. It's just a piece of the pie. So I just think that people have to look for more than just image.
Okay. But to start, well, I guess my main point was that is we're just talking the average Joe, not someone trying to start a YouTube channel, someone who was just kind of like been lazing around and wants to actually take himself a little bit more seriously. If he can actually put on a uniform and look in the mirror and be a little bit happier with who he sees in there, he'd probably make a little bit more of an informed choice throughout his daily life.
Good point.
No, it is a true point, because like I know for myself, like I have to wear a uniform every day for work, but just like any little thing that can make you feel better, like whether it's doing my eyebrows or the eyeliner that you see, like it makes me feel, more like myself, so I can put like my best foot forward. And I know it might sound ridiculous to other people, like really, like whatever, but it's just like whatever. It's always about like the little things in life that make you feel more like yourself or human, or makes you feel like, okay, I look a certain way or I feel a certain way because I did a certain thing, to put your best foot forward. And I think that's what we're all saying at the end of the day.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, guys, this has been very fun. Thank you guys for joining me. All right.
I appreciate it.
JR, you have been awesome. The man that motivated me to actually start my channel.
Man, I appreciate that, man. You're doing good, man.
I really appreciate you. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
So do you guys have any closing thoughts? Oh, obviously, to everyone here, to anyone watching, everyone here is to some level a content creator. JR, obviously give a shout out to your channel, please. And what you do on there.
Okay, yeah. If you guys not familiar, but I am the person that runs Lapeef Let's Talk, which is actually like the Lapeef network. So we're doing great things on there. We actually have Courtney has a show on there. Kay has a show on there as well. And we are looking for future potential people there to work with in the future. But we're doing something special, man. We're trying to bring value to the community, bring value to the world, to the YouTube world.
No. Why did you have to cut off now? That's heartbreaking, man. That's heartbreaking.
He left with the ghost of P. Real.
Oh, JR, you're killing me, bro.
I thought he was in deep thought, man. I thought he was in deep thought. I was like, okay, man.
Well, I guess I could say.
Oh, Madison didn't figure it out.
Wow. In deep thought. You thought he was in deep thought.
Because he paused. He was like, and
Yep. He's still in deep thought. All right, Maddie, give a shout out to your channel and what you do on there.
Right here. Right.
There we go.
Oh no, I feel so bad.
This right here. This is my YouTube channel name.
All right, shout it out. What say your channel name.
Madison.
Say your channel name, and then what kind of content you actually cover on there.
Madison Diane, and we have a little bit of everything on there for everyone. Some book reviews, some everyday life, some vlogs, commentary. Lapeef, take it away, man. You got cut off.
Yeah, I don't know if that.
Yeah, you got cut off a little bit there, but you were saying about the network. You're bringing together people.
Yeah. So, my apologies, man. You would think fiber would be better, man, but I'm just really disappointed in this fiber connection. But as I was saying, yeah, Lapeef, let's talk. We have the Lapeef Network. We're doing a lot of great things over there. Courtney has a show, Kay has a show, different perspectives, and we also are looking for future people to be a part of that network. It won't be right away, but I got my eyes open, and we're just trying to bring something different to the YouTube platform. We want to entertain. There's a little drama at times. We also want to give a lot of value, but we're just trying to grow. And I appreciate all the content creators, such as here. This is a great platform. I've been honored to be here, and I definitely appreciate you giving me an opportunity.
Wow. Really appreciate that, man. Thank you. E-Black, shout out to your channel, man.
Well, I just started it. I literally did my first live on Monday. If you want to check it out, I really wish you would check it out. It's a very interesting conversation.
That's good. That's good, man.
Yeah. So other than that, just look me up, E-Black TV on most platforms. I got a couple of things in it working. And like and subscribe. I'm not good at this yet. I'm not good at asking for people to look me up. It's like so in the future, if you want to deal with me and my arrogant ass, look me up.
To anyone watching, we're gonna train him how to shout out his YouTube channel next time. So
yeah,
it's all right. Melissa.
Okay, so I'm revamping my whole entire social media presence, as Clement knows. I'm working on it, but you can find me on all social media platforms, either by Melissa Natasha Stewart, Melissa Stewart, or MNS Angel 91. So very easy.
So on that note, everyone, thank you for joining me, and good night.
They know they shouldn't have let me start speaking my mind in the booth. Start speaking the truth. Might get shot for it, but MLK did too.
Look to the sky, ask God why. Innocent lives have to die. One thing I know, a flower will grow once you plant the seed inside your soul.
Now we could paint the perfect picture without belittling each other. Cause under God's system we really one another's brother. And the system set up just to make one another struggle. Work it out like we gaining muscle. I done seen Flint, Michigan in the inner cities. They pissing in project buildings that got a roof that leaks, resulting in missing ceilings. Hard to sleep. Children going to schools dealing issues deep. Teacher got the nerve to ask what's the feeling. He got up and started lashing out. See, it's a start. Physical display and mental destruction. Yeah, now that's the art. Politician, government instructing you to do your part. It ain't hard to see they trying to keep black in the back, just like Rosa Parks. Cops shooting blacks as if they get a token from God. School rob you would need resources, but you finance like cars. Too many of us worrying about what we be spending at bars, while queens are done playing themselves through the subconscious mirage. And here I was, a young boy just praying to get a menage with two of the baddest Nickies, hoping they shift my stick like some cars. And when you're lonely in your darkest thoughts come, I know it's hard, but God shines his light on all I play their part, and it's the start.
Look to the sky, ask God why. Innocent lives have to die. One thing I know, a flower will grow once you plant the seed inside your soul.
See, I'm a poet, and the best part part of me shows it. Here to speak the message, what is known, but not what it takes, expose it. Listen closer as I take you on a mental path. See divisions, the math, hoping we clash on lower levels, just like in the past. Before we begin to see spared lives, keep in mind the first 3 letters of unity starts with you and I. And maybe then we can all thrive, changing the narratives of our lives, finding belief from inside. We gotta come together, different feathers, and we fly together despite any weather, evolving up forward just like propellers, using negatives to fuel positives. How we change the mark, just like taking the devil's flames just to warm the coldest heart. Mama knew it from the start, DC mode would be a spark to lead the light that works its way out, illuminate through the dark. Funny cause my skin is dark despite the stereotypes that exemplify brilliance, cause I found that genius within my mind. You see words create worlds when you use the term tear. Your mind takes what it sees and mimics that just like a mirror. So if we change the way we speak, conscious the energy we give, we'll have a world full of positive. Word of Jigga, can I live?
To the sky, ask God why.